AK, what's up?
What is up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, what's up?
What's going on?
Yeah, man. So I guess a couple of things just real quickly. So obviously I'm in Minnesota.
Yes.
Um obviously with all of this the political assassination of this Vance Boelter, assassin character, uh because I'm so involved in Minnesota politics, like it's a pretty big deal. Like I know a bunch of state reps and even some buddies that were lobbyists that know, of both Melissa Hortman
Mm,
and her husband. Like we're friends with them,
horrible.
and then also, and they were killed, and then also the state senator, um, John Hoffman, like know him like super super well. So it's kind of crazy, man. But I guess the thing that I think is interesting, Shane. You talk about this quite a bit, but it's like is something confirming our bias, and then sometimes you get into like almost like this mob mentality where people on the right or people on the left, like they refuse to believe that maybe it's this. And so I always try and like take the let's see what the evidence kind of shows approach.
Hmm.
And yeah, man, I made a post earlier today on X, and basically based off of the evidence that I see so far, like it I can't tell you the motivations or anything like that, but this guy definitely was right leaning. He's not left leaning.
You think? Why do you
Yeah.
why do you think Walls would take him on? Is it just like because he actually felt like he was good for the job, or something else?
Yeah, so I mean there's so many unanswered questions, right? Like the idea that this dude's been in food service for what, like 20 years. He started a church, or starting a church in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Hmm.
He also has a food group, food company called Red Line that he started there. And then he's got the security company thing, which is weird because Minnesota, in order to be security, you actually have to be approved by the state. And when you look up the company, the what they call like registered agent, which is like kind of like most of the time it's like former law enforcement that you'll hire that have all of these, standardized training, if you want to say education.
Yeah.
And it's his cousin. So he has a cousin, that is the guy that's listed on the website. It's public, like you can go and look it up. So that's weird. And then yeah, man, I mean, all of these little things, but the thing for me, so one, um, when it comes to like the political leaning stuff, I, like most people, and like you said earlier, Shane, like he was appointed by two Democrat governors. Governor Dayton back in 2016 appointed him to this board. There's like an employment board for people with disabilities.
Hmm.
And then Governor Walz appointed him in 2019 to that same board. And he was on that board until 2023. So, to get appointed to a board, even if it's nonpartisan, it's mostly like wink, wink, nod, nod, right? Like that's kind of my experience in the
Right.
world of politics,
Yep.
is that even quote unquote nonpartisan positions, you got to know somebody to know somebody. They're just not picking randos off the street typically, right?
Right.
So I was leaning that, yeah, this guy is probably a Democrat. But then one of my followers, that I've interacted with like probably dozen plus times over the years, that follows my political content, she reached out to me, and so she's a Republican, and she actually, this is kind of crazy. So Vance Belter has an older, he has five children,
Hmm.
and one of his children is a daughter, right?
Hmm.
That daughter babysat recently the gal that follows me, right? So she
Whoa.
reached out and she was like, I know the family. Like, I haven't really met Vance, but I know his wife super well. Their daughter babysits my kid, and like they're in a co-op, a homeschooling co-op together. And Vance Belter's wife, Jenny, has spoken multiple times at this like homeschool co-oping group. And she was like, yeah, they're Christian conservative. And this is completely crazy because this guy's never exhibited any type of behaviors or activities like this at all. But as we know, a lot of these monsters and these people that I believe succumb to evil, whether it's demonic or it's something there inside of them,
Hmm.
they don't always exhibit these behaviors, right? Like, look at like Green River Killer and stuff like that.
Mm.
So then that's one little piece, right? The fact that you got this person who's been following me for a long time, who's sharing this information with me. But then there's one last thing. Republicans and Democrats, party officials, Minnesota, when you register to vote, we don't record your voter identification of party, okay? But because the Republican Party of Minnesota and the Democrat Party, DFL, we want to try and actually know who we should talk to. We will coordinate data, usually from national databases. The Republican Party of Minnesota, for instance, gathers data from the RNC and the RGA and all of these other national organizations, plus our own in-state surveys and stuff like that that we conduct, so we can model what a voter looks like, okay? And that data access, we call it data center. So I had someone look up data center because I don't have statewide access because I've never requested it because I'm not the guy that goes and formulates that stuff. I'm more of like the rah guy. But I had them look up both Vance Boelter and his wife, and the wife is modeled as a Republican, shows that she voted in a Republican primary. And again, this is modeled data, so sometimes it's wrong. Like, I know people that have been modeled as Democrats that have been active in the Republican Party for a long time.
Yep.
And Vance was modeled as unidentified.
Okay.
So when I put it all together, I'm like, yeah, this dude definitely is, then the crazy stuff that the roommate says, I don't really put anything into that. I think he just wants limelight. But based off of all that, man, I'm like, yeah, dude, he's right-leaning, pro-life, clearly.
That's
But,
good intel. Some questions.
I hate the fact that people, because they have their bias, which I get, are sharing like fake photos of this guy. And then they're saying like, he's a Democrat plant and stuff like that. And I don't think that that's true. I could be proven wrong though.
Yeah.
All right. Like, everyone could have been lying. The lady that's been following me forever could be lying, but I don't believe that that's necessarily true. But I still think that this act is an evil act. And I don't know, man. I'm not, the people that you've had on your show, Shane, especially, Tom, the guy from Chaos that wrote Chaos. What's his name?
Tom O'Neill.
Tom O'Neill. Like, when you read about that stuff, man, and MK Ultra, and people always, shrug their shoulders and roll their eyes. Like, I think that this type of stuff can happen. And when you take this guy, I wouldn't be shocked. I know that, if in his endeavors of like allegedly doing security, because that's the other thing that's weird, bro. So there's a website that was up until today and it's down now. And I tried using the Wayback Machine, and it's weird because, it doesn't always archive every website.
Yep.
But it's all down now. But there's screenshots that people have posted online that showed that this Vance guy was like security operations manager. And it said that he had experience doing security in the Middle East and in Africa.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Right. But here's the thing that's weird is like when you look at the guy's LinkedIn and you watch, he did a video where it was weird. He was, I think, taking a mortuary sciences class.
He was talking about
like an online thing, and he uploaded this video where he's talking about his life.
Yep.
He doesn't mention that he does security at all.
Yep.
And like I said, when you look at like the public listings, it shows that his wife is a manager for the LLC, that the Praetorian whatever guard.
Yes.
But the thing is like he's never mentioned in anything that I've seen that he's been doing security. So like that's just weird. Why would you not mention that? Right?
It's weird.
You have all these other things in your LinkedIn, but you don't have anything about security. And now the website's down. It's just weird.
Did
man.
your the follower you have that reached out, did you happen to talk to her about what his family life was like and like why he had these two roommates in another place?
Yeah. So this is what the weird part is like she said that they've been having some issues, right? That there was some family financial issues. But that's the other weird part. It's like, without getting all up into it, because I didn't really just like, she was super traumatized by it, right? She's like, I don't even know what to think.
Right.
Like, their daughter's been babysitting our kid forever. Like, what if they're into some weird stuff? And I just like, I could tell that she was not happy about it. But she wanted to reach out to me because I made a video where I said the guy's a Democrat, and she was like, I just want to let you know this. And I even said in the video, I'm open to saying like he could be a Republican, but based off of him being appointed to these, I think he's a Democrat. But then now I've changed my mind today after getting this new data.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, the thing that's so weird is like he's got this pretty nice house. You can look up the
Oh,
property
I saw
records.
it.
You
It's
can see what it
beautiful.
sold for.
Yep.
And he's renting a room from this random weird dude. And because I know the area, right? This house that he's renting is in the hood in North Minneapolis, dude. Like it's in the hood. And
Hmm.
I'm not like exaggerating. Like if you go and look at Minneapolis does a spot shotter,
Hmm.
you can look at the actual address. It's like 46th and Fremont or something like that. And dude, there's so many shot spotter activations. Like it's in the hood.
Hmm.
So like, why would he rent a room from a guy in the hood when he's got this beautiful home only an hour away? You know, it's just
Yeah,
weird, dude.
that's weird to me. That's weird to me. The so that doesn't add up. And then okay, but maybe if there's family stuff, that's what I was thinking too. That's why he was living somewhere else. But why there? But that roommate was really bizarre. I
Yeah, so
didn't believe
I
that.
agree the roommate's bizarre, but here's my take, and I
Yeah.
could be wrong. My take is that this is a guy who's been probably ignored most of his life, right? He's a bigger guy, doesn't look like he's super sociable.
Hmm.
And I think that all of this extra limelight, I called it limelight syndrome.
Hmm.
I think that it brings out the oddity that exists. Like when he started crying multiple times, I think he's just like this really weird, awkward guy, and that's why he was like, I got stuff I got to do, because like I think he feels socially weird, but he
Hmm.
also loves the idea that everyone's running to him. Like think about how many people have probably asked him for an interview, like
Yeah.
the whole world, and then he can go back and watch it on TV. And I get that vibe from it, but it's weird 100%, dude. Like
It's weird.
my as soon as I saw it, my like weirdo detectives are going off of like, is there something like weird sexually going on here? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
I
It's just
mean, if you could, I know this is just trying. I'm giving you homework, but like you're out there. I'm very interested in what the connection is between the David R. Carlson from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and that David Carlson, the roommate. Because if you look up the stuff that David R. Carlson has done, who's 30, well, he might be 38 now. He was 35 at the time of one of his last crimes against a child. That was bizarre to me too. At first, I was like, "Oh wow, this is the David Carlson from the interview," but it's not because the age doesn't match up. But I totally,
yeah, I'll look that up. But you want to hear something? That's This is how common David Carlson is. I befriended a dude in 2008 who's definitely not this guy, and his name is David J. Carlson, and he is like me and him. We tried to do a reality show together, and so people were texting me when they heard the name David Carlson, and they're like, "Is it our David Carlson?" Because he's done some pretty wild, not like nothing that's a criminal or anything like
right.
that. But he and I, long story short, he had a guy front him money to try and produce a reality show. Never happened. The guy put a hit out on multiple people. He's now in prison. But
Whoa,
that guy's name is David Carlson. Is my point. So
whoa,
David Carlson is like, Adam Smith. It's so common,
right.
but I will look it up, see if it's at all related to that same guy, and there's any child, bad stuff or
And
whatever. I'll look it
also,
up and
I know
get
we've
back to you.
talked about. Thank you. We've talked about Christianity and stuff. I've seen some things from this guy and like the preaching stuff that doesn't seem legit to me. Did you see any like his so-called preaching?
Yeah, dude. So like it's weird. That's the other thing. Like I there's this video where he's like jumping around,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, because again, like he basically, I guess, started a church in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're mostly French speaking. And so like he'll be talking, and then there'll be like one of the guys that's like translating for him, and he's like running around and dancing and jumping up and down. And that's weird because, okay, like, I don't know, man. How much time could you spend going over there and building a church and doing that? But yet here you are back in the United States. You're doing multiple jobs. He's running this food company.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing this church.
Mm-hmm.
And then back here in the United States, in that video that he recorded, he was working for a funeral home named Wolf Funeral Home. And then he also was working part-time at a security company. How does he have that much time? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
you're a
Yeah.
security company in the United States. You're doing a food company over in Democrat Republic of Congo. you're driving around bodies for a funeral home, and he said in the video that he was doing it like 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up. It's why are all of these so weird? Like
It's
the
weird.
Matt Crooks guy,
Yep.
completely side thing, but it's like all of these weird things don't add up, and that's what leads me back to like, dude, is there something deeper at play, man? Like really, truly, honestly, like MK Ultra type of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I,
man. That's why I'm always open to it. I'm
it's
not saying I
very
know, but it's
possible
just
this
weird.
guy is just ideologically driven and wanting to go out and do harm. But it's just, I don't know. Something about this just seems weird. And I'm willing to be totally proven wrong, but I'm also like, how does anything get proven wrong these days? Because we all live in like this post-truth world where, we can't trust the official narrative anymore of anything, and it makes it very difficult. And I'm trying to remain, skeptical of my skepticism of that as well. So
Yeah.
it's tough, but the MK Ultra stuff and these like activated like sleeper cells, I don't think it has to be left or right. I think they could be like, or I don't think it has to just be left or just be right. I think the people behind the scenes, the deep state stuff, aren't partisan. I think they're just power hungry and violent, and they just activate someone. And this guy's life being so weird and mysterious, and also like, why was he living in that one place? Maybe something was happening to him. I don't think they stopped doing sort of experiments on people. Maybe he didn't even know. But like Luigi Mangione had a weird story about being sort of normal and then kind of having this period in his life where people didn't see him for a while. What was happening then? Was he taking something? Was he at some weird doctor? Who knows? And no one's really safe from it.
Yeah, and the thing that's even more odd is like as more information comes out, you're starting, and this happens, whatever is first reported, you always got to wait because people
Mm-hmm.
are sensational.
Mm-hmm.
People want the clicks in their headlines and all that different stuff.
Yep.
But like ultimately, there wasn't a manifesto. The at the press conference, the guy from the Bureau of Criminal Operations
Yep.
used the term manifesto. Now they're saying it wasn't a manifesto. It's just like a bunch of different notes that he scribbled on different papers and notebooks that they recovered at multiple locations.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said that he had a hit list, but now they're like, it's not a hit list. It's just a list of all these Democrats because some of the people, one of the state senator and his wife, they're not on his hit list, but he clearly shot the guy 9
Right.
times and the wife 8 times, and thankfully they're surviving. It sounds like they're gonna, be able to survive, and they're not in critical risk or anything like that. And then the other thing that's weird is that there's also a state senator on there that died from cancer back in December. So, and then here's the other thing. This is weird, man. He stopped at 2 other houses. So he stopped at 4. The first place that he stopped where that state senator lived, and then he stopped at 2 others that no one was there. But at the third stop, a police officer pulled up next to him,
That's right.
rolled down her window, said, "Hey, are you here to check on this state senator because of the call we got?" He didn't say anything. He looked forward and nodded his head. She pulled around to the house, and then he took off, went to the 4th location where he murdered Melissa Hortman and Mark Hortman.
Wait,
So
was he in disguise too while this took place? Did this cop see him in cop disguise?
So not only was he in disguise, he had his fake cop cruiser that had a really janky police license plate, and he had lights on the vehicle that were on. That's what the officer reported.
Yep.
So when she pulled up, and you can see.
Oh,
we lost you. AK.
You muted. You muted yourself.
If you can hear us, you've muted yourself. But yeah, that is true. That is insane.
Yeah, my bad.
It's all good. It's all good. You were saying she pulled up, saw all the stuff, and she waited there. She called for backup or something, but not about him.
So yeah, dude. So she pulled up, tried to talk to him. He didn't literally verbalize anything back to her. She then pulled up to the house, waited for the other officer to get there, and she was like, "Hey, who was that other guy?" And he was like, "What other guy?" And at that time, he had already left, and then he went and he murdered Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, which is horrifying. Just again, man, I'm not saying that it means anything, but just what insane coincidence. I know how you feel about coincidence, Shane.
That's a failure.
They could have stopped him at that exact moment.
That's a massive,
and then the other thing is
failure.
that they came upon him fired on him after he'd killed Hortman and the Hortmans.
Yep.
And then he gets away.
How does he get away?
After that, that's just wild, man.
Dude, there's a part of me in the recesses of my most schizoid brain that's like, it wasn't even that guy. Like, he wasn't the guy doing the shooting. And then they just patsied him. Maybe they drugged the original guy, and they just let someone else do it. Kind of like how I was on IRL earlier. I was talking about how RFK Jr. doesn't really believe Sirhan did it, didn't assassinate his father. I just think anything's possible. Maybe it's just a totally run-of-the-mill psychopath waking up with this idea of political vengeance, or maybe it's someone who was activated and part of something else, or maybe it was just a patsy. And all of those things are based in reality. I'm not just like making those up. Like we were talking about chaos and stuff and MK Ultra. It's all based on things that have happened in the past in this country and around the world and other places. So who knows if we'll ever find out. But dude, thank you for the phone call. That's amazing intel on this story, and that's a perfect bookend to this episode. And if you get anything else, you know where to call. We'll be here.
Yeah, no, always, man. It's just it's so fascinating how these things are happening in real time. And yeah, man, you guys have a great show. Thanks for staying on late with me.
You got it.
What up, Brandon? And I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Thanks,
Later.
AK.
Have a good
Appreciate
night.
you, man.